There is a parliamentary hearing by the Victorian government into cults and fringe groups. This inquiry states they are not judging people's religious belief, rather examining groups who potentially harm people in physical, emotional and financial ways. Well, joining us live is Maria Esquerra, psychologist and cult survivor. Maria, thank you and good afternoon. Thanks so much for joining us. Can you talk us through a little bit more on the inquiry?
Thanks for having me, Janie. So this is something that's been in the works for quite some time. So myself with a lot of other people, mostly who grew up in cults, actually, and I think most people don't really think about the children, and had a lot of harmful impacts from those, and seen a lot of sad things with our loved ones and our friends and family. And so we got together and we made a bunch of submissions to Chris Couzens in Victorian, the Legislative Assembly, and that's what's triggered this. So it's very welcome and well overdue. So.
And you are a cult survivor yourself, and you've shared your experiences before, and you're willing to share them here on Sky News. So just tell us a bit about what has happened.
So for myself, I was born and raised into the Children of God, which was renamed the Family later on. And that was, a very high control group, cultic group. It was run by a pedophile from the US. So it started in California in like 1968, 69, and came over to Australia. And even though I'm a proud Australian with generations of amazing people who contributed to this country, I grew up basically not like an Australian, without any education, without medical care, without being able to see my grandparents or anyone that was not in the group. And basically just making money for the cult, and then there was physical and all sorts of abuse that was rife in this group as well. So I call it more of a pseudo-Christian group, because I think most people that would look up the doctrines would not think, I'd say 100% of Christians would not call them Christian beliefs.
Thank you so much for sharing us that story, and I mean, there's just no words to describe how how you have dealt with that and how you got through it. And you're a psychologist as well, so you are certainly helping people with their situations. And we're seeing more of these organisations, Maria.
So I do believe when there's times of uncertainty, people do become a lot more vulnerable to leaders that come in, and cults almost always have a charismatic leader. They're super confident usually, and I'd say they always have some sort of dark personality traits. And so I think right now there's a lot of uncertainty in the world, and we are rife for more extremism, and people falling prey to these leaders who are offering them a different way of living that's outside of the norm in society and anti-establishment. So yes, I think this is a very important time to be looking into this inquiry.
And we certainly hear more and more of perhaps teenagers, for example, if we pick one generation who are online a lot and they might be coerced into joining certain organisations. What if you have a loved one that you think might be involved in one of these cults or organisations?
So it's quite different when there's an adult involved, I suppose, and they make a decision that they want to be a part of, let's say, a harmful group or even a relationship, like a coercive, controlling relationship. As we all know, there's not a whole lot we can do when someone has been indoctrinated into a group like that. So the best thing we can do really is to just keep that connection with them, because we know these groups, what they do is they create isolation. They also create a fear, usually, of people in the outside world who are not in the group. And so kind of showing them that you're still there, that you love them, that you care about them, encouraging them with critical thinking skills. I remember a question someone asked me, which was, what do you want to be when you grow up? Was something that festered in my mind for years, because we were never allowed to have that. We were never asked that question. So to be able to think, oh, what am I going to be when I grow up? Or to ask your loved one, oh, can you have a different opinion than that person? Or those sort of questions, like big open-ended questions that can help them switch on their critical thinking skills. But most importantly, when there's children involved, I think that's where the government really needs to step in, because they absolutely did not choose to be there. And like I said, there's a lot of things that happen in these high control groups that are very harmful to development, and just miss out on a lot of rights. Basically,
Yeah.
a lot of crimes that are committed in these groups.
Very confronting indeed. And as we have been talking about that parliamentary hearing, we look forward to hearing more. And I know we've spoken before, we're hoping it's going to be more of a national situation as well. Maria, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your personal story. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Janie. Have a great day.